after 1 week, the best thing the instant coffee will be able to do is turn water to brown. But with this brewing grade coffee, there will still be the aroma. Because the surface area is low, that means it still keeps the fineness in it. Yeah. The instant coffee, everything will go. They knock a whoa. So that's something we want to, our Ugandans learn. But we understand. There are another challenge is people don't know how to brew coffee. Yeah. If they knew, maybe they would have tried it. So I genuinely don't blame them. Yeah. Brewing coffee, Ugandans, they want to brew coffee like tea. But actually, we also don't know how to brew good tea. Tea, true. Get coffee, get water, boiled water, add coffee, then stir immediately. Then the coffee will float. Then we say, oh, Malava, Ugandan products. Tivalina class, see, all the coffee is floating. That's not how it should be. The rule of brewing, if you're brewing from a cup, it's coffee first, water. Yeah. Back in the day, in high school, when you used to do chemistry, they will tell you, do not add water to acid because it's going to burst and kill you. Yeah. So it has to be the other way around. Yeah. Add acid to water, especially if it's concentrated. Yeah. It's the standard rule in the lab and in my profession. Yeah. So the same thing, if you want to brew home brewing of our Ugandan coffee, the rough one as you call it, boil water, make sure it boils. Put coffee first in the cup, then add the water. Then wait for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah. The coffee itself will go down. You won't need to, do this drinking when you're spitting sweet.
Yeah, I think the first experience people have with coffee, like we're talking earlier, there is this. I also don't want to mention the brand, but we have coffee for 100 shillings. So it's the same process. Get the coffee for 100 shillings, like you get tea leaves, pour it in a cup, and we have a show on our TV station called the Creative Industry Talk. Basically talks about creativity in Uganda, and one of the shows will talk about Bubu, by Uganda. Okay, and Ugandan products are seen, however good a Ugandan product is, in the eyes of the people, it's always going to be mediocre. Okay, we always say, man, these things are made in Uganda. Okay, so I think the same could be applied to the coffee in Uganda. How can we change people's perspective? Because I believe that if I say put a coffee from Uganda, very good coffee, and I brought another, let's say from the States, someone will obviously run towards the one of the States without even analyzing which one could be better. Just that the fact that this is made in Uganda. How can we change the perspective, okay, of Ugandans to actually start supporting Ugandan products, in reference to the coffee industry?
So that's a good one. Actually, it's not only Ugandans struggling with that. Many countries also, the Israelis think foreign is best. Yet for us, we look up to Israelis. So it's a common thing amongst citizens of different countries. You think foreign is good because it has come all the way to here, champagne and all that stuff. Yeah. So one thing is the Ugandan people also have to imitate the standards of the competitors. Yeah. I look at coffee brands. You reach the supermarket, you look at how we are branding Ugandan coffee, and I will assure you that 90% of them are not going to cross the border to even Kenya. We have that cliche packaging of valve packs. It's standard, yes, we understand. It's standard for coffee, but you all having the same thing. Yeah. When I was at university, at the Chambogo University Coffee Association, and Meiko and Haman and the members, we created a brand, but we also used the same valve packaging. It's something we did at undergraduate, but you find someone has invested 1 billion, but still packaging in 1 million, 1 million kind of packaging. Yeah. We need to imitate excellence if we can't make excellent products, if we can't make excellent packaging. Get our coffee, package it like they do. I usually give an example of, you've seen how the Vietnamese pack their coffee, or the Thailand pack black ivory coffee. Yeah. This is not expensive packaging, but you just have to have the patience of understanding packaging and branding. Let me give you an example. We used to do the packaging. Valve packs, put a sticker.
Yeah.
Take it to the supermarket. The supermarket will tell you, we are not paying you until we sell. I used to be mad. You know, Herman was our marketing manager. We used to be mad that they are not paying us. They're actually surviving on us. But after since they were taking our coffees, adding it down the shelf, you know, with other many brands of the same packaging. Then they put the foreign brands at the corner where there's maximum attention. And the foreign brands, of course, they are paying cash upfront. For us, first sell and then pay you. In the end, the coffee gets stale. Now, when a consumer comes to the supermarket, and I know many guys who don't take supermarket coffee, is that you go to the supermarket, you're buying coffee that has spent 3 months, 6 months. It is stale. Because of the packaging, and also the grocery managers have put them down in the Kayola. So if you had to attain the boo-boo, if you had to boost coffee consumption and people support our brands, we need to do top-notch packaging, world-class packaging. I don't want to talk about what we presented at the World Coffee Expo, but to be sure no one is going to buy it, or no one will even take it for free. Because it is so cliche. This is packaging of 30 years ago.
Welcome to House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. Wherever you're watching from in the world, it could be morning, could be evening, it could be afternoon. In the UK, they have a saying that any time is tea time, but here on House of Talent Television, we say any time is coffee time. Welcome to the Coffee Break Show this week. Like I said, my name is Ateng Emmanuel. This is House of Talent Television. Remember, you can catch us on our social media handles at HTV1. On Twitter, House of Talent Uganda live stream on our YouTube channel, or you can head up to our Facebook on House of Talent TV Uganda and make sure you catch this show. This is the show that brings you everything about coffee, from the farmers to the baristas to the coffee drinkers, to the enthusiasts, anything and everything about coffee. Today in the studio with me is a man who has a wide span of knowledge when it comes to coffee, and not only coffee, when it comes to agriculture, and he's here to share with us his knowledge about the coffee industry. Owen, you're very welcome to the show. It's good to have you here. I know you have a wealth of experience working for Narrow. I know that you also went to Israel to do your master's, and the knowledge I believe that you're going to give us here today about coffee is going to help everyone out there. Before we get deep into this show, we're just discussing about there's a thing that we have on the show about coffee myths. Yeah, some people think that when you take coffee, ABC happens. But before the show, we're discussing about a myth that I actually hadn't heard about. Okay, in Uganda, they say that coffee was used to make bullets. I don't know how true this is.
From where I come from, in Rwenzori sub-region, it's a childhood myth. Yeah. And actually some elders still carry it on that coffee is used to make bullets. Because basically the farmers didn't know what happens beyond their coffee, beyond after drying, what happens. Yeah. They say, part of it is making bullets. Yeah. It's a myth. You should ask people from Rwenzori sub-region.
That's an interesting one. I'd actually never heard about that myth. I'd heard about other myths, but making bullets. I don't even know how you get from coffee to bullets. But yeah, I mean, those are the things that us as the coffee enthusiasts really need to clear. And I liked how you said that, it came from the farmers and they don't know what happens beyond the farm, and I believe that is a good place for us to start at. We have had people on the show and we have basically talked about where coffee begins, from getting the seed, putting it into the ground, okay, from the nursery bed to the farm, then all the way down to the coffee drinker, from tree to cup, as they usually say it. But one of the things that is actually not discussed, okay, is the issues that are faced during that period when the coffee is growing. For example, the different coffee diseases that are there. Yeah, I know that there are certain baristas, even if you ask them today what coffee diseases exist, they know nothing about them. All they know is their part as a barista, and I believe that this knowledge has to be known by them. So coming from your experience, okay, you've worked in Narrow, you've worked in Zadi, and what are some of these diseases that affect coffee, and are there some that are particular to Uganda, or it's a wide spectrum that is just affects coffee around the world?
Well, there are quite many diseases, but some are specific to species. As you know, we have two major economic species. There's Coffea arabica and then Coffea robusta. Diseases like coffee wilt disease are specific to robusta. It will never affect arabica. In Uganda, it doesn't affect arabica. But then there are diseases that are common or prevalent in arabica, like the coffee leaf rust. Not a big problem in robusta. Then there are other like coffee berry disease and coffee red blister. There are many diseases, and this is something that we would like farmers and baristas to understand. Some diseases like the berry disease, red blister, affect the quality. When these diseases affect the cherries, they dry off. But what if someone carries the same diseased cherries and sells them as chiboko? If you don't understand that this is a diseased cherry, you will think it has been dried, yet they stripped it off, mix it with the normal cherries. And it's good to know the disease, it's good to know the pests. It's the basis of the farmer, of farm management. Just like parenting, you need to know when your kid is sick of what, to tell that the kid is sick, then you seek further treatment. If you don't know the signs of flu, then
you can't treat it.
You think maybe the kid is just sneezing.
So
knowing that they are sick, knowing their plant is sick, is one step of seeking further help.
So how do we get to know what is the process of, because if I go to the hospital and say, let me say in my mind, I think I have malaria, okay, but the doctor basically has to go through a diagnosis. They'll take some blood here, they'll take a urine test there, and at the end of the day they will verify whether I actually have malaria or not. Okay, so what is that process in coffee where you get to know which kind of disease is affecting a certain kind of coffee?
Okay, first is understanding them, is having regular talks with the extension workers, the researchers, and people who understand the diseases. A disease like coffee wilt disease, the most common, obvious symptom is dieback. Dieback is when your coffee dies from the head, that tip, it dies going down. Because coffee wilt disease is caused by fungi. Now the fungi will block nutrients and water from going up the tree.
Yeah.
That means the farthest is the one that is going to die.
Yeah.
The farthest will die and dies like that.
All the way down.
Dieback. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the commonest disease. But coffee wilt disease that does not have obvious symptoms on the cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other diseases like red blister and then berry disease, they have obvious symptoms because they are specific to cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a few symptoms on the leaves. Coffee leaf rust, your coffee will rust, and this is important for Arabica farmers. The coffee will have some rust under the leaf. When you turn your leaf like this, you'll see a rust.
Yeah.
Just like rust. Yeah.
Okay, so imagine I'm a farmer. Okay, I have my farm. I believe in my mind that everything is going well. Okay, then you, as Naro, come and tell me, you know what, your plants have such and such a disease. These are the symptoms. Okay, so what is the process that we would go through, okay, to help me in such a case? Because I know that there are very many farmers who actually have no idea. Okay, sometimes they say, oh, I'm cursed.
Yeah, that's another myth.
That's another myth. Okay, so sometimes I think it's a curse. So a neighbor of theirs was jealous, went to the witch doctor, and cursed their plants. But in the event that my plants, let's say, are sick, okay, what is the next step in treatment?
Okay, first, now you've seen unusual, mishap in your field.
Yeah.
Narrow does not do extension.
Okay.
But usually reaches out to the farmers because Narrow's, I'm not speaking for Narrow, but the Narrow mandate stops at dissemination. Tech development and dissemination.
Yeah.
The NADS and OWC pick it up from there because their mandate is to do extension.
Yeah.
Now, but doesn't stop me from telling that your coffee is sick or another expert, we have NGOs that also do extension to tell you that, yeah, your coffee is sick. So after that, but you've also seen the symptom. Then you seek expert help.
Yeah.
The expert will tell you whether you need to spray, or you need to cut, or you need to use culture methods, or inorganic sprays or organic sprays.
Yeah.
If you know it, you can take it upon yourself. If, let's say, you've had an experience with the disease and it has resurfaced, you can use the previous, treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the most important thing I'll emphasize on is seek expert help. Before you buy a chemical, you need to know, is this the right one? Am I going to use it right? So that you don't waste your money or you don't pre-expose yourself to, something that could be dangerous to you. Or you're trying to spray coffee wilt disease with a fungicide, and yet this disease is inside.
Yeah.
The fungi is inside. We call it the xylem and phloem. That is where the fungi is. But you're spraying the leaves and all that. It may not help. You're wasting money. You're also exposing yourself to these chemicals.
True.
So it's best you seek expert knowledge. If you don't understand, if you know a farmer who has had an experience with the same disease, ask them. Consult widely.
Yeah.
Have second and third opinions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm to seek expert help, okay, I believe that there are certain avenues that I have to follow. There are certain organizations where I can seek this help. So what are some of those organizations that as a farmer I can go to?
First is Narrow.
Yeah.
I'm not being biased because I've been working with Narrow, but first is Narrow because it's Narrow that generates the technologies, generates the control measures, the varieties, and disseminates them.
Yeah.
Then there's NADS. NADS has a League of Extension Workers. There's UCDA now. UCDA controls the coffee industry, regulates the coffee industry, and they are the best people to reach out to. UCDA has extension workers actually in almost every coffee growing region.
Yeah.
Then there are other NGOs that are specific to coffee or specific to agriculture extension. Other NGOs like TechnoServe. Then there are private companies that are into coffee but also do extension, because you know it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You don't want farmers to lose. You are cutting off your supply. So some private companies have taken it upon themselves to offer extension services. Yeah. So ask widely, but don't ask. Don't rely so much on Twitter or Google, because you may end up getting a recommendation for Vietnam, thinking it will work in Uganda. So Google, but also ask. You know, reach out to the experts.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. You talked about UCD, the UCDA there, and I've heard from a couple of people that every time they have tried to approach UCDA, they did not get help. Okay. And they are of the view that, you know what, since UCDA can't help us, we're going to do this by ourselves. How true is that? Does UCDA actually, in their mandate to regulate coffee in Uganda, actually help these people, or there's a lot of you know, bureaucracy and red tape that goes into this, that by the time you actually get the help, maybe, you know, you've lost the morale? So does UCDA actually help?
UCDA is supposed to help, and I know some farmers that have been helped. First, they are the first years in case there is an outbreak of a strain disease. You have to reach out to UCDA or to NADS. They help, but usually they help organized farmers. And it's like, I'm a UCDA extension worker. I'm not speaking for them. I'm a UCDA extension worker. You found me in Kampala. You're telling me about a disease that is in Masaka. I cannot understand it, and I don't have even means of facilitation to go there. So I'll direct you to the nearest extension workers. So when farmers don't understand, don't get to access, you know, help within their location, they'll say, you know, I wasn't helped. I'm just trying to imagine. and also sometimes it's easier to work with organized farmers. Let's say you're an association, then you invite, you know, UCD extension worker. You can come. You're 20 farmers, 100 farmers. That's a bigger platform. Because they're also underfunded.
I like the way you say that UCDA is supposed to help.
They are supposed to help. Because they regulate the industry. And now with the Coffee Act, they have more powers.
I think that brings me.
That's what they have always wanted, and they have it.
Okay, we're going to get into a break right now, but viewers will come back with more, you know, about coffee. I believe that this is a very good discussion, especially for the farmers who are out there and may not have an idea about the various things that go into, you know, farming of coffee. For example, the diseases, then what happens after you've grown the coffee. And we're going to have more of this discussion with Owen in the studio. Stay right there. This is the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television with me, Ateng Emmanuel.
So I used to love the way our barista used to present his cups. For example, one day he presented some nice coffee. It was a cappuccino, very nice, presented. And I asked him, how do you make this? He said, you go to a school and study. So I used to love the passion he had. So I said one day I should learn this. So I kept on serving his orders. But I found out that most of the orders were according to the way he was feeling. You know, baristas present their cups according to the way they are feeling, according to the mood. In case he left home when he's sad, he's not happy, you will see the results in the cup. But when you see something beautiful, just know he's so happy. So the passion he had and the love he used to put in the cup really encouraged me to join the school. Not until I got to learn about Isaac at the Pro Plus. Then I came with some of my friends, so we are now doing the course.
I think most female feel like being a barista is more of a male job, or being a farmer is a male thing, or being a quality controller. Yet they don't know that there are other perfect people that we are looking at. So we want to bring this gender equality into the coffee business. I would thank this the International Women Coffee Alliance. It has really done a very good job to encourage women into the coffee business.
The brew ratio is
very important.
The most important. Brew ratio now most people may not understand. It is the ratio of the coffee powder to water, and the yield. Water in this article will bring us to the yield. If I put 10 grams of coffee into my portafilter, how much of it am I exactly? So if you don't master the brew ratio,
then being eager to learn for everyone who is out there, with the young men, every young man out there, you need to be eager to learn, because there are many opportunities there. I don't know, I've met Emma today. I don't know where we shall meet any other time. I will meet this person. So always be humble and be eager to learn. And then about coffee, I've learned, like I think I've learned that always take everything in the steps. Because if I had started with the basics, I wouldn't be back here now.
Because I knew maybe probably big hotels serve coffee. So to my dismay is that I introduced myself as a barista, and everybody was like, "What's a barista?" So I said, a barista is a specialist that makes coffee, a person who makes coffee for people to, coffee like, cappuccino, different kinds of, coffees, and people were like very great. I say, this is a big hotel. I expected to find here a coffee machine, and nobody knows about it. So it's, I think, incumbent of us to really transform this entire community, the entire country, to coffee, to learn about coffee, and also to give them the advantages of coffee, teach them about coffee, and then later on they maybe consume it, rather than just selling it.
Welcome back to the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. My name is Emmanuel Ateng, and before we went for the break, we're talking to Owen Singura about the different coffee diseases that face coffee. We're talking about what happens during the coffee growing process. And coming back to the show right now, Owen, welcome back to the show. I know we started the show on a coffee myth that, coffee apparently was used to make bullets.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And I think now, as a farmer or as someone who's out there, it is a myth. We have debunked that one for now, yeah. And we're talking about basically the different kind of diseases that affect, you know, coffee, and also how to diagnose them, and also what to do, you know, for the farmers who are out there when your crop gets diseases, what you can do. And one of the things you said is that we should seek professional help. And, you know, after getting that professional help, that opens up, you know, other avenues to what you can do for your crop. Coming back to the show, I remember you can catch us on our social media pages, HTV1 on our Twitter, on our YouTube, our House of Talent Uganda live stream, and also on Facebook at House of Talent Uganda. Make sure to watch the show, spread it far and wide to the farmers out there, to the baristas, to the roasters, whoever you know is involved in the coffee chain and the coffee process, because we need this knowledge if we are to make Ugandan coffee be at par with Ethiopian coffee. As you know, I read in the Coffee Act, you know, we are trying to get to where Ethiopia is, yeah, and I believe that it's a very good thing. We're talking earlier, and you told me that you went to Israel, you know, to do your masters. Yeah. Okay. First question is, do they have a coffee culture in Israel like we do in Uganda?
Yeah, they do. They are big time coffee drinkers, yeah. and different ways. There's the Turkish coffee. Yeah. There's Arab coffee, you know, that in the pot, and then you swirl it in the sun, gets ready, you pour, and they have actually better taste of coffee than us, yet they don't grow. You know, I've met 50-year-olds who have never seen a coffee tree, but they take a lot of coffee. They take coffee in the morning, coffee in the afternoon. Yeah. I know a guy who takes coffee and cigarette as breakfast. But you know, the irony is we who grow don't take.
Yeah, I think that's a big irony. So what are some of those differences you saw between, you know, the coffee culture in Israel and that in Uganda? I know you've already talked about one. We grow it, we don't take it. They don't grow it, yet they take it more than us. Okay, so what are some more of those differences that you experienced when it comes to that coffee culture in these two places? Different areas of the world, actually.
Their taste is growing towards specialty. Yeah. There are specialty cafes coming up. Then the people, when they go to buy, they don't go for instant coffee. Yeah. And for us, when we go in the supermarket, even the richer ones, we buy instant coffee. But actually, just let me take you a little off. Yeah. Instant coffee is like a sausage. The best meat is not used in making sausage. The best meat is reserved for steak. Yeah. The, you know, mediocre meat and, you know, the red meat is what they use in rolling for sausage, because you'll not see the quality unless you've made custom-made sausage. Yeah. The same thing with instant coffee. The good thing with coffee, they don't throw anything apart from the extraneous matter, stones and plastics, if they are there. The undergrades, the broken beans, the rotten beans are the ones they reserve for instant coffee, because when you get a tin of the instant coffee, you will not know that this was from screen 18. Yeah. So the screen 18 and 15 reserve it for cafes and specialty coffee and fine coffee, because someone is seeing what they are buying. The aroma is there. Yeah. The rest, the irony is, when it comes here, instant coffee is more expensive than specialty and fine coffee. Yeah. Even the educated people, the exposed ones, they don't. Yeah. It's the river. In Israel, people are aiming for, you know, top quality. Yeah. And they actually import some coffee from Africa and South America. They repackage it, create private labels, and they earn a lot of money from it. Yeah. Why not us do it?
You know, it's interesting that there's this westernization effect, okay? The way they have marketed instant coffee, it feels like when it comes down to Africa, me, the person who's taking instant coffee, is perceived as the one who has money, or class for that matter. Yet if you went into a deeper understanding, you know, the person who's actually taking the real coffee could be considered as the person with more class in this matter. But
I won't say that people are not exposed, guys have traveled, but it's still gross ignorance. Yeah. But still, we can do the instant coffee from our good coffee. I remember it's Kausheng, I would say, why not use good coffee to make instant coffee, because it will be cheaper here. We can still explore that avenue as we are graduating people from instant to brewed coffee. Yeah. Back in the day when I was volunteering with UCDA in, increasing local coffee consumption campaign, we used to hit the market and brew the coffee, but someone will tell you, why is this coffee rough? Why is this coarse? We want the smooth one. Yeah. I tell you, no, the smooth one is not good. This coffee is rough for a reason. Otherwise, we could have made it finer. Yeah. But the reason is, the rougher the coffee, the better the brew. Not very rough, but of course you have to, hit the standard. Yeah. Again, this is scientific, that rough coffee has a lower surface area to volume ratio. Yeah. That means it will retain the aroma very fast. I want people to do an experiment. Open a tin of instant coffee. I don't want to mention the major brand. Open it, and also open the tin of your brewing grade coffee, the rough one, what Ugandans call the rough one. Leave it open for 1 week. After 1 week, the best thing the instant coffee will be able to do is turn water to brown. But with this brewing grade coffee, there will still be the aroma. Because the surface area is low, that means it still keeps the fineness in it. Yeah. The instant coffee, everything will go. There's no kawawa. So that's something we want to, our Ugandans learn. But we understand. There are another challenge is people don't know how to brew coffee. Yeah. If they knew, maybe they would have tried it. So I genuinely don't blame them. Yeah. Brewing coffee, Ugandans, they want to brew coffee like tea. But actually, we also don't know how to brew good tea. Tea, true. Get coffee, get water, boiled water, add coffee, then stir immediately. Then the coffee will float. Then we'll say, oh, Malava, Ugandan products. Tiwalina class, see, all the coffee is floating. It's not how it should be. The rule of brewing, if you're brewing from a cup, it's coffee first, water. Yeah. Back in the day, in high school, when you used to do chemistry, they will tell you, do not add water to acid, because it's going to burst and kill you. Yeah. So it has to be the other way around. Yeah. Add acid to water, especially if it's concentrated. Yeah. It's the standard rule in the lab and in my profession. Yeah. So the same thing, if you want to brew home brewing of our Ugandan coffee, the rough one as you call it, boil water, make sure it boils, put coffee first in the cup, then add the water. Then wait for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah. The coffee itself will go down. You won't need to, do this drinking when you're spitting sweet. Yeah,
I think the first experience people have with coffee, like we were talking earlier, there is this. I also don't want to mention the brand, but we have coffee for 100 shillings. So it's the same process. Get the coffee for 100 shillings, like you get tea leaves, pour it in a cup, and we have a show on our TV station called the Creative Industry Talk. Basically talks about creativity in Uganda, and one of the shows will talk about Bubu, by Uganda. Okay, and Ugandan products are seen, however good a Ugandan product is, in the eyes of the people, it's always going to be mediocre. Okay, we always say, man, these things are made in Uganda. Okay, so I think the same could be applied to the coffee in Uganda. How can we change people's perspective? Because I believe that if I say put a coffee from Uganda, very good coffee, and I brought another, let's say from the States, someone will obviously run towards the one of the States without even analyzing which one could be better. Just that the fact that this is made in Uganda. How can we change the perspective, okay, of Ugandans to actually start supporting Ugandan products, in reference to the coffee industry?
So that's a good one. Actually, it's not only Ugandans struggling with that. Many countries also, the Israelis think foreign is best. Yet for us, we look up to Israelis. Yeah. So it's a common thing amongst citizens of different countries. You think foreign is good because it has come all the way to here, champagne and all that stuff. Yeah. So one thing is the Ugandan people also have to imitate the standards of the competitors. Yeah. I look at coffee brands. You reach the supermarket, you look at how we are branding Ugandan coffee, and I will assure you that 90% of them are not going to cross the border to even Kenya. We have that cliche packaging of valve packs. It's standard, yes, we understand. It's standard for coffee, but you all having the same thing.
Yeah.
When I was at university, at the Chamberlain University Coffee Association, and Meiko and Herman and the members, we created a brand, but we also used the same valve packaging. It's something we did at undergraduate, but you find someone has invested 1 billion, but still packaging in 1 million, 1 million kind of packaging.
Yeah.
We need to imitate excellence if we can't make excellent products, if we can't make excellent packaging. Get our coffee, package it like they do. I usually give an example of, you've seen how the Vietnamese pack their coffee, or the Thailand pack black ivory coffee. Yeah. This is not expensive packaging, but you just have to have the patience of understanding packaging and branding. Let me give you an example. We used to do the packaging, valve packs, put a sticker. Yeah. Take it to the supermarket. The supermarket will tell you, we are not paying you until we sell. I used to be mad. You know, Herman was our marketing manager. We used to be mad that they are not paying us. They're actually surviving on us. But in actual sense, they were taking our coffees, adding it down the shelf, you know, with other many brands of the same packaging. Then they put the foreign brands at the corner where there's maximum attention. And the foreign brands, of course, they are paying cash upfront. For us, first sell and then pay you. In the end, the coffee gets stale. Now, when a consumer comes to the supermarket, and I know many guys who don't take supermarket coffee, is that you go to the supermarket, you're buying coffee that has spent 3 months, 6 months. It is stale. Because of the packaging, and also the grocery managers have put them down in the Kayola. So if you have to attain the boo-boo, if you have to boost coffee consumption and people support our brands, we need to do top-notch packaging, world-class packaging. I don't want to talk about what we presented at the World Coffee Expo, but to be sure no one is going to buy it, or no one will even take it for free. Because it is so cliche. This is packaging of 30 years ago. But the good news is that there are few Ugandans who are aiming for excellence, looking for that, you know, niche packaging, and they are getting markets in Europe and North America. We can do the same. That's how we're going to compete with, you know, Brazil and Vietnam.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I've actually been to the supermarket, and exactly what you say, the Ugandan coffees are thrown somewhere down there. You know, I have a friend who does her own coffee, and she complains about the same thing. By the time you get paid for your coffee, it's stale, and you know, if I buy a stale coffee, I'm not going back to buy the same brand again. So basically, I'm on the losing side. Okay, and the foreigners are getting more and more out of us, and even that money that they're getting is not really repatriated back into the country.
It's not your money.
It's not our money. So all of us are losing at the end of the day, and it's something that we need to really, you know, do to improve the coffee industry. I know one of your backgrounds is research in coffee, and we're talking earlier, and you said, you know, in coffee research, to come up with, you know, a type of coffee takes you 10 to 15 years. Okay. And to the normal person, they think, now how are we going to wait 10 to 15 years, you know, for you to come up with a different kind of coffee? Is there one that you have come up with? Is there one that you are currently working on? And if so, could you give us some more, you know, information about it?
Oh, that's a nice one. To an ordinary person, they cannot imagine that the coffee they are growing, someone sat a decade and more to work on it. Towards the late 90s and the early 2000s, there was coffee wilt disease. It's really ravaged and destroyed almost over 50% of the Robusta coffee. Now, Narrow had to sit, because, you know, every problem in agriculture, the eyes are on Narrow. They had to sit and try to create solutions. And one of the solutions, coffee wilt disease is a very tricky one. I told you, you will spray and you won't control it. So they had to come up with varieties that are resistant to the disease. And from that time, during the early 2000s and up to now, they have released 10 varieties. 10 coffee varieties that are resistant to wilt disease, that is KR1 to KR10.
Yeah.
Nowadays, KR10. But it's not that you sit and work on one. I'm not a coffee breeder, but I've worked with coffee breeders. It's not that they sit and work on one, release it. They, work in tandem.
Yeah.
Because these varieties, how much they are all coffee wilt resistant. They have different attributes.
Yeah.
And then they perform well, in different regions, different agronomic conditions, different flavors.
Yeah.
Another thing is that after researchers have developed the variety, they have to take it to UCDA for scoring. Because it doesn't help when you make a good coffee variety, high yielding, big, and it doesn't taste well.
Yeah.
So now that's how UCDA comes in. They have to assess the cup quality.
Yeah.
And it's a back and forth, years and years and years and years, and they say now, this is good.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to spend 10 years on a loser product.
True.
You're wasting taxpayers' money, you're wasting your time. So the 10 varieties, in actual sense, it should be that KR7 is better than, KR10 is better than KR7. Theoretically, that's how it should be. But sometimes you find that KR10 has, KR7 has better attributes than KR10. The whole point is give farmers a wide range of choices to work with.
Yeah.
Always assess. And I actually recommend farmers, every farmer should be a researcher on their field. Use your own understanding, do your own assessment. Narrow may not reach anywhere, NADS may not reach everywhere, UCDA may not reach everywhere, like you said.
Yeah.
But farmers have to be their own researchers. Compare, see, this one does well, this one doesn't do well, or this one is heavier, this one is lighter, this one matures faster.
Yeah.
But why did we go the cloning way? Now, the breeders realized, okay, let me go back to the biology of coffee.
Okay.
Two coffee species, Robusta and Arabica. The difference, one of the differences that Arabica is self-pollinating. By the time an Arabica flower opens, it has, pollinated itself, or to pollinate itself shortly. Robusta is cross-pollinating. Now, you remember in our basic biology and science, cross-pollination is moving anthers from here and pollen from here to the stigma of the other. So you are creating variability. Like man and woman who create a child who has characteristics from both. Now, Robusta being cross-pollinating, the fruits are going to be different from either of the parents.
Yeah.
But now you want to keep the disease-resistant top-notch. So you have to clone. So the nursery operators, the Narrow and UCD have mother gardens where they pick clones so that you have the same. If it is KR7, you're going to produce seedlings that are strictly KR7. Because even if KR7 is pollinated by another variety, you're going to create L8 seeds.
Yeah.
L8 seeds also work, but the resistance of L8 seeds to coffee wilt disease is not as high as a clone, because with clones you have true to type. Yeah. Imagine they cloned you, Emma. You're going to have a kid who is going to be like you 100%.
True.
Maybe you're resistant to COVID. Just think. So we shall clone you and make many Emmas. That's by the way. But if you married someone, you're going to have a kid who is looking like a mom or like you, or having combined traits. Yeah. So the L8 seeds work, but their resistance is not as strong as if they were clones. Now, most farmers go for L8s. Yeah. Because L8s are cheaper. Just get this seeds, coffee seeds, plant them, they germinate, you sell. Clones, you have to have a mother garden, you have to be certified by UCD to operate a commercial nursery, you have to clone. Yeah. But the upside of it is that the cloned varieties are going to mature faster, and they have the resistance to the Wills disease, and they are true to type.
Yeah.
If you like KRA7, you're going to have KRA7. If it's 10, you're going to have KRA10. Maybe you've gotten an importer or a client who likes KRA7 or likes KRA8.
Yeah.
So that means you're going to give them, you're controlling your quality. That's quality assurance. Done. But your coffee is going to taste the same today, next year, and the other year for 10 years.
Yeah. Interesting. I like how you say that, you know, most farmers actually go and buy the Elite because they are cheap.
Yeah,
which is a Ugandan problem.
So Uganda, we want to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
But in farming, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work in farming. We're coming towards the end of the show, and we have discussed a lot of things. But as we draw towards the end, okay, we were discussing earlier about how we have different players in this coffee chain, okay? And right now the focus is mainly on the baristas, okay? And on this show we have had a lot of baristas, and I believe that most of them actually, because a barista course is 1 month, 2 months, you know, if you want to 3 months at the most, and most of them don't have the kind of knowledge like you are talking about right now. Most of them don't know what happens in the farm apart from the theory they're given in class. Okay, so as we come to the end of the show, what do you have for baristas out there? Because like we said earlier, you won't be a barista at 70. Okay, what can these baristas do to make themselves more relevant in the coffee chain and the coffee process, and also more relevant for their lives going ahead?
Okay. I usually meet baristas and I'll tell them you're going to be active for 10 years maximum. Yeah. You know, if you stretch it, 20 years. But you can, you know, graduate yourself first. You've learned barista, basic barista, you know, add more skills, but also advance to maybe quality control. Because if you do R or Q grading, then you can get a job in a private farm or a coffee exporting or a coffee processing farm. That's one plus. Another thing, if you're a barista who has a background in agriculture, you can work backwards, you know, switching back to your profession. It's going to be good if you applied for a job, let's say quality control, and you're a barista, you have studied R or Q, and you also know some coffee agronomy. Definitely they will take you. Also, you're going to be better than someone who has studied quality control but is not a barista, because you know every employee wants a bigger package of you at the same price. So the thing is, if you're a barista, you're 40 years, you've overstretched maybe 40, 45, please learn Q or R. UCD has free, you know, these are free courses. I'm not speaking for UCD, but they are free. R and Q grading, they are free. You stand a chance to get a job in the coffee industry, in growing or processing farm. But another thing, we have some people we are with who have a background in agriculture or biotechnology. I know some who have switched back to research, and they stand a higher chance, because if I applied for a job with the counterpart who is just an agriculture expert, but I'm also a barista expert, I know some basic of quality control, then I stand higher chances. And I'm going to get a job. I know guys who have done that. Done barista, then switched back to research. And they're doing amazing things. Because also the researchers don't know how good coffee is. They are preparing it, but then they don't know that you can make a mocha, latte, and you can make all these variations. It's also helping the research industry. When I was, you know, still in coffee research as an intern, our director by then banished instant coffee. He was a new director. He was like, guys, we are a coffee research institute. Why are we taking instant coffee? Like, come on, guys. And not just instant coffee, imported instant coffee. Dude, you people should be taking the best coffee because you make it. You've earned it. Now, they have an espresso machine, they brew they're enjoying.
Yeah.
You see, but to bring that vibe, it takes someone who understands coffee beyond the bean.
Yeah.
To bring that vibe. Now they're happy people. They're like, man, I didn't know that my variety tastes this good.
Yeah.
Because most probably the guy has made the variety and has not been drinking it.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe. And guys who are changing, the research world also.
Yeah.
They are baristas.
Yeah.
They have gone back to research.
Yeah.
The baristas, but they have gone into, because even private companies want researchers. They want agronomists.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, if you have gone into the coffee industry, you may not understand everything, but try to understand the basics of coffee from the seedling beyond the bean.
Yeah.
Even the market metrics.
Yeah.
Especially the market metrics.
Yeah.
It's important to understand
Yeah.
the market dynamics. The biggest thing in the market dynamics right now, Brazil was hit bad by hailstorms and frost. It's a plus to us.
It gives us an opportunity
it's an opportunity for us.
slide
for
in there somewhere.
The smart guy, when Brazil was hit by frost, should have bought more coffee.
Yeah.
Because actually there's a coffee crisis.
Yeah.
So projected that 3 years from now, there's going to be a coffee crisis.
Yeah.
If you can buy coffee, buy it as much as you can, because it's going to be high.
Yeah.
Sorry for the Brazilians.
But kind of good for us.
Yeah.
Well, Owen, we've come to the end of the show, but I believe that all the knowledge that you have shared in just this little span of time has really helped someone out there. Someone, the barista, the farmer, whoever is involved, and you brought to light a lot of things that a lot of people actually ignore. Okay, and I believe that this show should actually have a part 2, because
we can take it to the farm. Actually, I like it more in the farm.
Yeah, we can actually take it to the farm, which would be better. But thank you for giving us your time. I hope that next time we'll be at the farm and we'll get to know more about coffee, get to understand the different things that actually go into, getting coffee from the tree all the way to the cup. For our viewers out there, if you're a barista, if you're a farmer, if you're a CEO and you own your own coffee shop, there's a lot of information about coffee that you need to know. And this show basically gives you all that information. We want to thank you for staying with us this whole time, and we'll have another guest next weekend, or Owen will be back, or we'll be at the farm. You never know. Yeah, but thank you for being with us. This has been the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. Till next time, get a good cup of coffee, and remember, Ugandan coffee is actually the best coffee out there. Have a blessed day.
Welcome to this week's program of Doa Doa, and our speaker this week is Bill Braggin from NYU Abu Dhabi.
Hi, I'm Bill Braggin. I'm the Executive Artistic Director of the Art Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. I have been here for 6.5 years, leading the founding of the Art Center. Prior to that, I've been a New Yorker my whole life. I came immediately from Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, where I was the Director of Public Programming. Prior to that, I was at Joe's Pub at the Public Theater, at Symphony Space, at Central Park Summer Stage, and spent a lot of my time presenting multidisciplinary work from all over the world. I'm also a co-founder of Global Fest, which is a festival that takes place every January, tied into the APAP conference. The university, NYU Abu Dhabi, is part of what NYU calls the Global Network University. The idea is that there are 3 hub campuses in New York, Shanghai, and Abu Dhabi that are full 4-year universities. Each has their own identity. And then there are also 11 other study abroad sites where the students are studying all over the world. NYU Abu Dhabi is celebrating its 10th anniversary. It's primarily a liberal arts college with an orientation towards research as well. There are about 1,500 students who come from all over the world. So our students come from about 115 different countries. There's no dominant majority, so a big point of the university is to create this international cohort of really exceptional students and future global leaders, as they like to say. The campus is on an island called Saadiyat Island. It's about 15 minutes from downtown, which has been designated as the cultural district for the UAE. So we're just down the road from the Louvre Abu Dhabi and from Berkeley Abu Dhabi and the future Sheikh Zayed National Museum and the future Guggenheim. And that has been in place for about 6 years. And so the Art Center really started once the campus moved from downtown in a temporary location to Saadiyat. We have 3 primary venues. We've got a 685-seat proscenium Flyhouse. It's one of the finest venues in the country. That's the Red Theater. We've got a black box, which we refer to as sort of our laboratory for performance, flexible space, 300 standing, about 225 as a thrust theater, about a 165 head-on. And we really reconfigure it almost every time. A lot of artists, both professional artists as well as student artists and faculty, all create a lot of work in there. We've got the Blue Hall, which is a 150-seat recital hall where we do concerts as well as film series. And then we also present outdoor performances on the plaza in front, as well as site-specific performances. Within the Art Center, it also houses all of the academic programs for the arts. So there's film and new media, theater, music, visual arts, and interactive media. And there are a lot of studios and maker spaces. So what's interesting is we're bringing multiple disciplines and maker spaces and learning spaces all under one roof. The Art Center's role is to take part in all of those activities. So we are presenting professional work from artists from all over the world. We are developing work both with students and faculty as well as UAE-based artists, and we're really integrating everything that we do within the curriculum of the university. But roughly in pre-COVID times, roughly 80 to 85% of our audiences actually come from the general public. So we really are a public resource for all of the UAE. So the question that I always have when putting together our season for the Art Center is, why here? Why is it relevant? How does it connect to the UAE? The UAE is incredibly international. As international as the student body is, the country at large is even more international. There are people here from about 200 different countries. The Emirati national population is somewhere between 12 and 20%, depending on where you're looking. So international content is always really important. And also there are a lot of people here who don't necessarily have a lot of past history with traditional performing arts. And so the question is, Why would someone who's never been to a theater play before, why would somebody who's never been to a contemporary dance performance be interested in the work? What conversations is it going to open? And I'm looking both at the conversations that it might open with the city at large, the community at large, as well as how it integrates with conversations that are happening on campus. So a lot of the work is looking at issues of the environment and climate change, or global migration, or gender issues, or sometimes we are looking at formal issues, artists who are kind of pushing art forms forward, and we're looking at that as well, because we are in part also planting seeds to help to contribute to the larger cultural economy of the UAE. We have certain perennial events. Rooftop Rhythms, which is a spoken word open mic, has been going on. It actually existed before we even arrived, but we adopted it and have really helped to grow it, in giving a voice to local artists, both who are hitting the stage for the first time, as well as people who are quite accomplished published authors. We've got the Barsakh Festival, which would be recognized as a quote unquote world music festival, as problematic as that phrase can be. We have Hikaya, which is a National Day event that celebrates history and tradition for UAE National Day, but it is also designed to represent the transnational nature of the UAE. And that happens every year, right at the end of November, beginning of December, primarily poetry and spoken word, as well as some music. And then lots of programs that really run the gamut of disciplines with a personal interest for me is hybrid work that is not easily categorized, that might be music with a directed video. It might be a durational performance in a human-sized aquarium with 12 tons of water used as a way to open up a conversation about global warming and rising water levels. Might be site-specific dance, but we're really often looking at artists who are mixing disciplines and mixing cultural traditions. The traditional performing arts sector in the UAE is fairly new, but like all places, there's a very deep and long history of the arts. In terms of performance traditions, the most valued tradition is poetry, and there's a traditional Bedouin form of poetry called Nabati, which is really valued. Because poetry is so important, that's one of the reasons why Rooftop Rhythms, the spoken word open mic, was created. Although it is in more of a Western slam poetry mode, the idea is really to connect to that tradition, and that is where a lot of young Emiratis are actually really kind of engaging in this contemporary performance. It also, of course, the poetic tradition really leads to theater, and we're doing a lot of work now to commission work by theater artists who might have their roots in poetry and spoken word. On the musical side, in addition to the Bedouin desert traditions, there's a long history of pearl diving music. All the expeditions that would go out to dive for pearls, a tradition that ended more or less in the late 20s, had a song leader that was an essential part of the expedition. And those traditions really brought together influences from the Gulf with influences from East Africa as well as from India. And there are artists like Boom Dewan who are working now to update those traditions and mix it with jazz. In terms of dance, there are traditional forms like Ayala and Liwa that are brought out at celebrations like weddings, at official government events, and so on. I think the important thing is also, though, being that the local population is only between 12 and 20%, with a population that comes from 200 different countries, all of those different art forms are also the art forms of the UAE. It's a very cosmopolitan place. So whether it's oud music from the Levant, whether it's jazz, whether it's EDM, whether it's Afrobeats, all of those styles are there. There's a contemporary dance scene that's just starting to grow. So really the arts in the UAE are extremely varied. We primarily present using a residency model. We're not on a very typical touring circuit. So when artists come here, they're generally coming here for about a week, sometimes much longer, sometimes maybe a few days shorter. And over the course of the week, they're participating on a number of different levels. So they're doing public performances is often the center of that. We're also doing invited performances. We work a lot with local schools, both government and private schools, whether it's elementary or high schools. We also work with other universities. We might have an open rehearsal because we're also commissioning work and having it developed sometimes on campus. We want to open up that process to the public. So we do that as well. And then the artists are also visiting the classes and being integrated into the curriculum of the university. They are doing workshops and sharing technique, whether it's a dance class or an acting class or so on. We're also working closely with our Career Development Center and with our art gallery to do a series of career chats, arts chats that are designed to not only build the skills, but also help people to think about how they can turn participation in the arts into their profession. So we're really looking to integrate people on a lot of different levels. We also really want to make sure that they get to know the community. It's not just a tour stop. Many of the international artists are coming to the UAE for the first time. And so we want them to come away really with a sense of the richness that is NYU Abu Dhabi and that is the UAE as a whole. And we want people from the community to have a chance to meet the artists outside of the context of their performance so that they can really meet on a human level. So we do community building events. For example, we have a dinner with every single artist who's here where we invite students and faculty and staff, other people from the community, that we curate almost like a dinner salon where we really want to just find some people who can get to know one another with the arts at the center of the conversation. Once we're putting together a season, we are looking all over the world. We're looking to create a diverse season of programs throughout kind of every year. In typical times when the world is a little bit more predictable, we're planning anywhere from 6 to 18 months in advance. And we're really looking at a global array of artists who are working in every conceivable discipline. We've had a lot of artists from East Africa. Actually, I'm recording this on the day that was the anniversary of a show in our pilot season with Just a Band from Kenya. It was our sort of pre-opening event where we were just sort of experimenting with what do all of these residency activities look and feel right. And they were in a lot of different classes. They also pulled together members of the community who joined them on stage for the show. And it also allowed us to really bridge to the Kenyan community in both Abu Dhabi and Dubai and really get a sense of the conversation that goes back and forth. And that was 6 years ago. That was really one of the events that helped us to figure out the role that the Art Center could play in the community. Beyond that, over the years, we've had the Nile Project, which is a multinational project with artists from all over East Africa. It was originally founded by Maklita Darrow and Mina Girgis. We've had from Ethiopia, Fendika collaborating with the Dutch post-punk band, The X. We've had Dow Countries Music Academy doing a concert of Taarab music from Zanzibar. We opened the season a few years ago with Circus Abyssinia, and we've been working a lot with Boom Diwan, which is a group that mixes pearl diving music and jazz. It's based primarily between Kuwait and the UAE, but I think really speaks to the historic connections between East Africa and the Gulf. And I think that's one of the things that's really important. Historically, there are so many ties between this region and between the countries of East Africa, both on a heritage and kind of and deep historical level, but also on a contemporary basis as well. There's a huge East African community or multiple East African communities in the UAE. And so when we are looking to do international programming, we're both looking at how we can connect with the local communities of origin for the artist, as well as the fact that we are in a place that's gotten a dominant majority and that people are really open to discover work from cultures outside of their own. I just want to thank you for inviting me to introduce the work of the Art Center at NYU Abu Dhabi to you. We are all over social media. You can find our website is NYUAD-Art Center, spelled the US way, CENTER.org. We are also on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at NYUAD Art Center. On our YouTube channel, we also have a lot of performances from our archives. We also have our career chats and some of the workshops from our Off the Stage series. Rooftop Rhythms or Open Mic is there. So if you really want to understand and get to know better what the Art Center is about and what our approach is, I encourage you to look at that, look at some of the mini documentaries that we've created around pieces that we've commissioned. And then we look forward to meeting a bunch of new artists from East Africa. Thanks so much.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Doa Doa 2021, the virtual docu-series. As you've heard from the speaker, now we are going to get to know the artist. The artist in focus this week is Abdul, aka Abu Danger. Enjoy.
My name is Abdul Chinyenya Muyingo, also known as Abu Danger, a movement artist, a creative, who happens to be the founder of Batalo East, an arts organization that deals with having young Africans and artists who are aware of their identity and their cultures. Also one of the co-founders of Tabu Flow Dance Company, and one of the dancers and choreographers who has been dancing for about 17 years now.
They fight their hazardous way through a vast land of mystery and excitement in their that rests in King Solomon's mind.
My dance journey has been very interesting because it's a journey that started in sort of a mistake. Because when we were young, we used to have music, dance and drama classes in schools and competitions that were organized by the school's competition, and I happened to be forced to be one of the people that represents one of our houses because I didn't want to do it. I was more into swimming and football. But again, when I went into the dance class, or what was being selected, it so happened that the person, the trainer that selected us really thought that I had a lot of talent, and I didn't really think I did. But when I did, then I ended up meeting some people there. One of my friends called Hakim, who later we started with Tabu Flow and later Breakdance Project Uganda with other people. He had this book that had, his parents were living in the US, that had images of dancers, popping, I remember windmill. And these are things we used to look at. They were just images, but as a young person, these images were stronger because they said something that we wanted to try. We were the people that believed that you can spin on your head. As a person, every time I wake up and I realize that this is the path I chose, being a movement artist, I realize the value of what our great-grandparents created and what we really are into creating at the moment. And I see the link between what our great-great-parents created, all the traditional dances. For example, when you look at Uganda, which has over 80 traditional dances, and you look at the modern times where you look at young people who are trying to copy and trying to be like other people. So that missing link really keeps me going as an artist, and it makes me create. And also the idea of using dance to talk about things that really matter in our community. Gone are the days where dance is just about shaking your body and showing off your body. It is about what message can you portray, what story can you tell with your body? Because we all know that movement don't lie, the dance, the body movement don't lie. They tell you the honest truth. And this is what really keeps me going as an artist, as a dancer, and also to be able to inspire young other people who don't believe that dance can be a career. As a person, really, when you go deep into my artistic expression, especially with movement, you realize it has something to do with my experiences. And my experiences are, I've been doing so many traditional dances from Uganda, but I've also been exposed to hip-hop dances, many of the hip-hop dances and break dance. But also, as I grow, I've realized there's a contemporary expression to what we're doing. So the fusion and the mix of those different styles is something that really becomes my expression in terms of dance style. So right now, I can't tell you that I do a specific dance style because I'll be lying to you. What it is an expression, and what my focus is to evoke feeling from the person that is watching me. And for me, that is my style. Right now, I'm working on a lot of environmental related issues, because growing up in a city like Kampala, it's a city that could be really, really beautiful, but it's a city that beyond just the normal, the roads that you see, behind the markets, it's disgusting. And this really puts me in the mood of creativity. How can I use my voice? How can I use my movement to really express feeling, but also to communicate something? And this creative process starts in a way that I look at this situation and I am already thinking about it. Every time I meet somebody, I'm like, what can I do? What is this? And then, of course, if I have to put it on stage, that's a different direction. I need to prepare. I need to see, am I going to do it alone? Do I need backup people that can support me if I'm taking it to a theater? But these days, we're using a lot of course, internet, social media. So you're thinking, I need to work with a team of videographers, very well-trained videographers to express this. Then you meet them, you tell them your idea, but then there's a lot of changes. So it is a process that I believe doesn't involve you as a person, because I don't believe that as artists, you stand by yourself. What you see outside is a combination of different people. My spiritual take or spiritual belief is that I believe in spirituality, but it depends on how you interpret it. My interpretation is that I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about the belief in, and I'll use the version of an artist, the version of imagination. Because whether you are seeing yourself in your own image or in somebody else's image or whatever, or God's image, the power of imagination for me is the spiritual being. And for me, that is very important, because then that brings creation. So as humans, we have power to create because of the spiritual being that gives us imagination. That could be a combination of things that are out of my control, but I take what I can eat, which is the idea that I have the power to imagine something and create it. And for me, that's spiritual. Who would I collaborate with in this world? I'm a person that really believes in collaborations, and I've written a lot of things about collaboration because I believe that collaboration is the imperfect hunt. It is a process that really can stress you completely, but it's also a process that can be beautiful if the person you're collaborating or the group you're collaborating with is you have the same spirit. Now that you put me in that spiritual realm. I don't really have a specific person right now that I think about collaborating with, but I'm the person who believes that even outside here I can move out and then meet somebody and I want to collaborate with them, and that's my take. I'm not that kind of person that sees somebody and I imagine this is the person I'm going to collaborate. I need to first find a reason within me. Why would I collaborate, even if it's whoever? And I'm happy I can always collaborate with even people that are not living right now. In another way, for example, if I decide to collaborate with Michael Jackson in my imagination, I think I have the power to really pick inspiration, because that is also collaboration in a certain way. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be in the physical being, but I have to have reason, and that for me, that's the reason that I can find anywhere. I can find a street kid, I can find a superstar. It doesn't really matter. It's just the moment and the reason why. With Doa Doa participation, I think my favorite was Ginger, for obvious reasons. I remember we collaborated with Santuri Safari, and I think one of the people I work with, Faiza Mostrix, we started the journey, I remember, from having a collaboration with the Isas, DJ from the UK, is it, I remember, and the venue was Ginger. I don't think I have a least favorite. We've been to the museum. I've been to the museum. Of course, I think it is okay, but you know, it is more about the program than the venue for me. Of course, Ginger is unique, and I'm biased, and I'll be honest, because I'm born in Ginger. Doesn't mean that I'm from there, but I was just born there. Yeah, so I'm biased. So Ginger is my favorite. Internationally, I would like it to be at the Times Square in New York, and I think Faiza can make that happen. No, but to be honest, if it could be in a place where there is so much traffic for art, like New York, and I think we are having, at this level, we are having conversations where we are looking at a global market. We're not looking at just the Ugandan market. As an artist, I mostly perform outside of Uganda. And I think New York is not one of the places that, it's one of the places that people should be looking at in terms of venues, in terms of theaters, and also us as Ugandans, we should be also looking at that, because we've done it in Uganda. Why not take it there and have it on that level? But also, one other interesting venue could be somewhere in Asia, because there's so much cut off from, in terms of creative artists, cut off from Asia. It's more business, China, all that. And I don't know, China, somewhere, Tokyo or something. It could be interesting to see how that blend can work. If I'm to open for an artist, the thing though is I see myself as an artist, so I'll open for myself because I believe that most of the times dance is being put in the background. And I think it's gone are the days when dance is the background. You know, when you look at social media, most of the things that are trending is dance. So even on these physical platforms, dance should take the forefront. So I would open for Tabu Flow, for example, one of those crews that I believe has an international status. So yeah. Well, there's so much coming up for Abdul. At the moment, one of the things that is exciting, we're working on a performance that I believe is going to be one of those great performances out of Uganda. And I'm collaborating with an artist called John Zidi, who is a resident artist at the Sadler's Wells Theatre, that's in London, one of the biggest theatres. And we're going to create a performance with East African dancers that is going to go on tour. That should happen in August, I think a few months from now. Of course, because of the situation, there are things that have been postponed. So that's something that is exciting. It's a performance about identity, about what people call Afrofuturism, what our imagination would be without the colonialists, what really, who we are, according to us, not according to what people think. And we express that through art. Of course, there are other things that, as a person, I happen to work with a lot of other people, and Batalo East, which also has so many things coming up. Yeah, so there are so many classes, there's so many festivals that we're planning. We're not, this situation is not really stopping us. It just gave us a reset button. And to be honest, that reset button was needed because we pressed it and we saw how things are rolling back again. So we are now on to the next 10 years. We've hit the 20 years, now we are on to what's next, the 10 years. Well, right now, where you can find Abdul's work is on social media, and I use Abdul, Abdenja, Chinyenya on all social media platforms, and also through some of the groups' works like the Tabu Flow. You can also check Tabu Flow on all social media platforms. Then, of course, I have a Vimeo account, YouTube account. You can find my works there, and you can hit me up directly, yeah? Ready for collaborations and ready to push to the next. This is Abdul, and you're watching Doa Doa 2021 virtual version. Please subscribe and please share in your networks. Share Ugandan art, share everywhere. Share. Peace out.
Thank you so much for joining this week's show, Doa Doa 2021. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration. If you have any comment, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave your comment, or our Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram. We'll definitely get back to you. We are very grateful, and until next week, I remain your host, Faizo Kiwewa from Bayimba and the Doa Doa team. Keep it Doa Doa 2021.